All right, you guys, we have the TJ packed. I wanted to go ahead and show you how tight it's going to be in here, but it does all fit. You can see I have a full extra thing of fuel that's going to be both for the Jeep and for the generator here. The generators can make sure that we can keep all of our tools continuously powered. The water obviously is going to be for what we're doing today. It's probably about 87, I would say, and it is totally clear. So water is going to be a big part of this. So I'm going to go ahead, we're going to get this thing started, we're going to get this thing moving for today. All right, so my compass has me shooting an azimuth basically to this tree right here. And you can see the vegetation's about yay high, and just for reference, see if I can get myself in frame, it's about forehead. So we're gonna go all the way to this tree, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick a route since the foliage is gonna be pretty dense there. But basically we're trying to get a whole circle around this so we can perimeter this out and start clearing this. We've run into our second obstacle of the day. It's going to be kind of tough to see, I guess, on camera. See if I can zoom in a little for you guys. Got this massive log that is almost as hard as stone, and it's going to be a little big for the TJ, so I may have to get the Gladiator in here to move it if I can't get around it, but we'll see what the chainsaw is able to do. Part of the reason that having high clearance on your vehicle is so important, I managed to mash into it without messing anything up. So. All right, so obviously we've gotten the Jeep turned around. We're facing back towards the generator now, so we made it to the turnaround point. We're gonna walk back and grab the chainsaw. Now, I'm gonna come back here with a weed whacker and get a lot of this down and do some trimming with the chainsaw. But that's gonna be on my own. That's not for you guys. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel Serpa. So today, obviously, we're going to be covering an outbound consideration. And what that's going to mean is that it's going to apply to anything that we do that is going to concern the outside of our house, our neighborhood, or our direct regional area of affection. So that's going to be pretty much anything that requires a vehicle to travel to. So we're going to talk about specifically today in our outbound consideration, the equipment and tools that are necessary for you to be successful if you are going to take on the role of trying to be a pillar in the community with the goal of helping or supporting whatever local establishment you may be after, or maybe you're just doing it on your own. So we're going to talk about some of these tools real quick. Now, before I get into these, I know you guys are already going to be commenting about the Ryobi branding and how, as a contractor, it can be silly to have Ryobi. And I know it has that stigma being that it's some of the cheaper tools. I'm not sponsored by them, obviously. I have them on here for a couple of reasons. One, their cost per tool versus a more premium brand like DeWalt and Milwaukee, and don't get me wrong, they are better tools. At this point though, with the cost amount for these tools, they are going to be absolutely worth every dollar you spend. If you're buying a Milwaukee or a DeWalt, you're only getting a maybe 5 to 10% increase in power, which the vast majority of people are only going to be needing these tools. Unless you're working in an automotive setting, which there are tools like you can see here that we have that are going to be able to work on those. And you would be amazed at how often when you go out, you run into automotive problems, whether it's with your own guys that you're going out with or running into somebody who may be having those problems, that you need those tools. So I wanted to start talking about these and I wanted to explain a little bit of the intro video moving forward here. We're gonna get a little bit of an interruption, so we're gonna move right over to here. So with that, the introduction is showing you guys why these tools are important. After some events, and I like to bring up examples for you guys so that you understand, the flooding here in Richmond Hill that came through last year, the hurricane from Helene that came through and wiped out a bunch of trees in the area, or something as different as a tornado that came through Black Creek about 3 years ago. That caused a tremendous amount of damage to the infrastructure of the community, even more so than necessarily destruction to the community itself. It was more important to get the roads up and running, so emergency crews, power, and supplies for your common needs like filling prescriptions or groceries all rely on the road systems to be cleared. And there's only so many people that are showing up to actually help with the road system versus showing up with a generator and food and water, which may already be there. So your time, labor, and support is going to be more appreciated if you are showing up with these tools trying to help. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about some of these. This chainsaw is going to be probably the most talked about item on the entire video. It's in the intro. I'm not wearing a microphone for that, so I am going to undo this here, and I am going to turn this on just a little bit so you can hear how loud it is with the mic. I'm hearing it like it's from my ears. So I'll take the safety off. So simple enough, pull this trigger. That's as loud as it is. Now, unlike a gas chainsaw, which if you have a steel chainsaw, don't just get rid of it, they're awesome. Being able to just turn that off, hit the button, and it's good to go is huge over a standard gas chainsaw. I can talk to you guys just like this. If somebody needs to get my attention, all I gotta do is let go of the trigger. You guys are gonna be super impressed with how long this lasts. At the end of the video, I'm gonna show you guys how much battery this used, clearing out almost, I wanna say a half-mile trail back in the woods there. So we're gonna move to some of our next tools and talk about why I bring them. So going over to this side of the vehicle, we're gonna be looking at this standard Sawzall. This is probably one of those tools that I use on more applications than I should. This is a great tool for cutting through metal, steel, or anything else. A quick example with that, after the Richmond Hill floods, we had a car that floated up, pushed over a stop sign, and dropped down onto the stop sign. Obviously, we couldn't get it off the stop sign. If we pull it, we're just gonna rip the whole car apart. I know it's flooded, but we're trying to cause the least amount of damage that we can. So the best way to get that car off that pole was to cut it. It was an interesting situation having the car come down, but we did have, stands and stuff as a result with that, and those are good tools to bring too if you have those high lift jacks. And I can show you guys that here in a second. It's in my garage. But great tool. Same with these grinders. This angle grinder does a fantastic job of cutting through those extremely thick metals. It's just one of those tools. If you're going to be helping the community and out doing disaster relief or rapid response, or even a search and rescue situation, it's good to have these and have extra batteries for them and be able to put things together just as important as it is to take it apart, right? Let's say we need to get somebody out of an area and our vehicles can't get to it. Being able to cut down some poles and make a really quick stretcher or something out of it, just something improvised, all these tools are going to allow you to do that. So we're going to go over to these next set of tools here. Flashlights. It does not have to be your branded flashlight, right? If you have Milwaukee or DeWalt, whatever you have as a tool set, Ryobi, Cobalt, I don't care, as long as you have the tools. It doesn't necessarily have to be that kind of a flashlight, but have a light. It's convenient to have it with your tool batteries because I don't need to bring extra batteries, right? Extra double or triple A's. Plus it all charges with the equipment that I'm already using, so it's super easy. If I'm not using this drill, that runs out of battery, which takes hours on these lights. I just slap in a new battery, put that one on the charger that everybody's using, and move on. Same thing with these impacts, like I'd mentioned earlier. This impact is going to take anything apart. Now, this specific impact is not going to be the base Ryobi impact, but again, as a cost analysis for you guys, and why I'm bringing up Ryobi, is this is one of their medium impacts. It is going to be more than capable of breaking off almost anything you need to on a vehicle. Working on the TJ and ripping apart the exhaust manifold, which is notorious for rust, this was able to break apart bolts that we were struggling with the DeWalt and Milwaukee impacts of the same size and variant. So understand it's a good tool and it's half the price of those premium tools. I don't need you guys going out and going broke because you're interested in this or you're trying to be available to the community. You're no help if you don't have the money to actually get the stuff that you need. You're going to end up hurting the community that way. So invest in stuff that makes sense for you. This is a great entry-level tool. Every person in the US has some sort of Ryobi tool. They're everywhere. They dominate the outside market, weed whackers, leaf blowers, all that stuff. So please, I'm not just picking Ryobi for no reason. If somebody's interested in this and they want to buy the cheaper version, because Ryobi has two sets, they have their 1 Pluses and their HPs. These are the HP contractor versions. They're cheap stuff to get a Sawzall, a impact, and a drill are going to cost you about 150 bucks, which is less than one Milwaukee tool. So having those is big, and being able to save money on tools that the whole community can use and you're not overly concerned if something gets dropped or put in the water or broken helps a lot. So I want to talk about this leaf blower. A lot of people are confused as to why I grab it and why I bring it. Again, with the floods, we had a huge issue where the water would bring in all that sand and mud. If you've ever seen a flood, if you've ever been in a flood zone, you know how that goes. You need stuff to clean that out. Usually having one person with the broom, sweeping everything out, which a generic broom is fine. This is gonna make it easier to just blow all that stuff straight out the door. It also helps dry things out if they're wet. This thing gets used almost more than any other tool in a flood setting, just because of how easy and efficient it is to actually dry things out and move debris around, because God, there is a lot of debris. The last tool we're going to talk about, and I'm going to orbit around here, is going to be this single saw here. This, just so everybody's transparent, and I want to be clear with it, has been replaced one time. I left it in some water. The original one ended up getting damaged. I have to take the battery out and plug it back in each time I pulled the trigger. It's not an issue with this one. It's never been wet. Even with that one getting soaked, and I mean it was submerged, I'm still impressed that it worked at all. Having the larger battery for any of these skill saws are going to obviously make them better tools. Doesn't matter the brand, have the largest battery. And obviously, last thing we'll talk about here that's going to be in the Ryobi skill set is just have extra bits. It doesn't have to be the craziest thing. This whole thing of bits, which I see almost every contractor use, even if they're using Milwaukee, DeWalt, or Cobalt, take these Ryobi kits because they're like $19 and it comes with absolutely everything you need. And it's extra, and if it gets lost, it's not the end of the world. So from there, I want to talk about some other hand tools. Moving that mud and stuff out of these flood zones. Shovel. You're going to use it to pick up debris. You're going to use it to get under debris and leverage it up. It's just one of those tools you will use on every recovery, on almost any search and rescue, on any disaster situation. A shovel is going to be necessary at some point. Have that, it's essential. Pitchforks for the same reason. Whatever you're picking up, sometimes the shovel sucks at, you bring that instead. So I just have an assortment of stuff. The last tool that I want to talk about moving forward here, that's going to be something that everybody should have and is conventional, is a ladder. Getting into homes that have been mobile homes specifically, have a tendency in floods to kind of shift on their foundation. I've even seen them go so far as during that tornado, actually roll forward. So the only way to get into the building was to ladder onto it and then move onto the side of the trailer and crawl in through a window to get supplies or injured people out of there. That specific one nobody was living in, but we had to get paperwork out of there for the homeowner. So in order to do that, we needed a ladder. Don't be caught without a ladder. You're gonna use it. You're gonna use it more than one time. I carry a compact one because they suck to carry around. I can actually put this, if I adjust my straps, kind of onto my backpack and just lug it around that way. This ladder's been with me. It's a Harbor Freight ladder. It was 150 bucks, just so you guys are understanding how cheap they are. I've used this for 5 years. Indestructible, absolutely love it. So from there, I want to talk about the generator stuff. Now I have a whole video on generators, so I'm not going to dive super far into this. This 1800 watt generator is the simplest generator you can buy. There's no electronics on it. The only thing on here that can break is going to be the meter on here, and it is not broken because it's a mechanical meter. I've had this for, I want to say 4 years now. It starts on almost the first pole every time. If not, it will start on the second pole. I have had zero problems with it. It's just enough to run like a base level microwave on a low setting. It'll run a refrigerator if you need it. It will charge everything that you saw here, 2 or 3 batteries at a time. Have a pigtail for it. It'll charge your Starlink system if you're going to bring that. And if you are able to bring a Starlink, bring a Starlink. So with that, this generator is going to be absolutely one of those things you want or need to have. I've seen people bring solar kits and stuff. I just want something that I know is going to be absolutely reliable every time. Obviously the extra gas is going to be for whatever recovery vehicle that I'm going or whatever equipment I'm using to get there. Is going to be a way to charge it or fuel it. So I'm always going to have that. I'm always going to have extra water. You never know if where you're going is going to have water or not. And you do not want to be caught in a situation where you don't have water and there's no water there, because now you're not helping anybody. So have these tools with you with the intent of being there for a while and actually using your time and labor effectively to help the situation. So from there, I want to talk about these 2 vehicles. Now, we're talking about gear and equipment in this video for moving into a disaster-related situation, whatever it is. And picking a vehicle can be a very difficult decision, and people get really locked up in it. I'm going to make it as simple as possible for you. I know they're both Jeeps, but we're going to look at them as an SUV and as a truck. Big benefits to the truck: it has room, it usually has the horsepower, and they are typically 4-wheel drive. As a result, this is an awesome pick. This particular truck has a large amount of ground clearance. So is a Ford F-150, so is a Chevy 1500, so is a Ram in the same class, right? They're going to have ground clearance. What they are going to have a huge disadvantage for, unless you have a hybrid or a newer truck, their fuel economy is usually really bad. Plus their bulky size, as you guys saw in the intro video, make it really difficult to forge new trails for, or to cut your way through a road. It's going to take extra work to get this thing through. Even with the extra recovery gear, you're going to spend more time with this rather than doing a supply runner like an SUV. Now, the TJ specifically, when we're talking about an SUV, is typically going to have better fuel economy. This thing is literally half the size of the other vehicle. So, better fuel economy, more maneuverability, less room to pack. And you have to think about what makes more sense. This and everything you see here still is going to be able to hold and fit all of this equipment inside this vehicle. Is it going to be comfortable for the passenger? Probably not. However, it is extremely, and I mean extremely important, to be able to process how you are going to pack your stuff and how you're going to make it fit. So we are going to take a look, just for everybody's reference, because these are 2 very popular vehicles for this, the size differences. And while I'm talking about that, I'm going to get more of a side angle here for you guys. While we're talking about that, it's also important to consider if you want your vehicle to get beat up. Obviously, as a work truck, I'm not going to be as caring about it as if it was my personal vehicle that I intend to take care of for 100 years, right? That I want people to be able to see me in and just be like, nice car. I don't care if it gets beat up or scratched, but that's not true for everybody. And I still don't want to take this down trails where I know things are going to break, because the cost of parts on this versus the cost of parts in a car that's 20 years old is substantially different. This is super cheap to work on. The most expensive part on this that I have paid for so far was about 200 bucks. One shock on this is $200. It is a totally different game. If I can save this from getting beat up, I will. It's more comfortable to ride in. It's going to go almost the same distance with fuel tank sizes. However, you have to consider that. So please, when you're assessing a vehicle, here are the things I need you guys to pay attention to. It's got to have all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. It's got to have the ground clearance, and you have to be willing to damage that vehicle. If you aren't willing to do those things with what you're bringing, you have to assess how effective you're going to be. Ride with somebody you may know. Put all your tools together. Get out there and help is the big thing. But make sure you are doing it in a way that isn't going to concern you and end up turning yourself into somebody nobody wants to work with, or actually damaging or hindering the effort to provide help. So that's where I'm getting at there. From there, a couple of other things I want to touch on. Hammers are important. This is the crappiest hammer I could find, happened to be in my car. I don't care if it's a Husky, I don't care if it's a cheap $6 hammer. This was literally $6. Have one, you're gonna use it. Nails get popped out, it's better to push them back through the wood than it is to have it poking out both sides, right? We wanna minimize people getting hurt for silly reasons, right? We don't need people getting tetanus over something stupid. And a lot of these tools are also going to help with that, but having a generic hammer doesn't need a battery. From there, pen and paper. Very important. If you are talking to people who are unable physically or are too scared to go back into an area, hey, write down what you need, I'll go get it. More than one time I've needed a pen and paper. I hear something over the radio that I need to write down, that I can't forget. Somebody needs a specific prescription, but they can't leave the house. I can make these notes, write down these addresses, write down a location, and get back to those areas. From there, we're going to talk about this drone. Have a UAS. If you have one, bring it. It's always an asset. This particular one is just an old DJI Spark. I've had it for years. It's probably got 500 flight hours on it. That's not a joke. I have not had any problems with it. It needs a battery replacement probably every 3 years. I have 10 batteries for the thing. I just chuck them when they're done. Super easy, connect to the phone. They have like 15 to 20 minutes of flight time on a nice clear day. They're awesome for picking routes. They're awesome for finding people. They're great for getting an idea of where you're driving into or what an area may look like. It's more information, and it makes you more efficient and more effective as a team to be able to scout ahead. So that's why I always, always, always have this in my vehicle. And then from there, we're going to talk about what I'm wearing and why I'm wearing it. So the flick that I'm wearing, or the Rhodesian, whatever you want to call it, I'm not wearing it for the tactical application. I'm wearing it because it holds water. It holds any knives or gear that I may need. While I'm out there trying to get, cable or wire or whatever cut, there's a first strike bar in there just in case. Whatever it is, I got glow sticks, as well as like wet wipes and just silly field stuff, right? Just to make sure that I have it on me, because I may be a couple miles from the vehicle by the time I get to where I'm going. Having extra batteries and the ability to charge your radio is going to be really big. Now, I want to talk about this radio, and we're going to actually walk back towards the tailgate if you want to walk back with me here. This radio in particular is a Baofeng. I can't recommend them enough. They're extremely, extremely important. As a result, ignore the demo we just completed back here. As a result, I encourage everybody to have some sort of radio. Even if you have a Baofeng, it's important to understand how your radio works. It doesn't matter what radio you have, as long as you have one and it's charged and you have backup batteries for it. This particular one, if you ever order one, they're on Amazon. They're like 45 bucks. One of the best tools you can have. You are able to scan in to different weather stations. So picking up these emergency frequencies is going to be extremely important. Have these with you, even if it's a Baofeng radio, which is on par for a very underpowered ham radio. I understand a license may be required to use them. It's an emergency, guys. I don't know what to tell you. Nobody's ever been arrested for using a ham radio in the history of the United States. So not something I overly concern myself with, especially if it's an emergency situation. It's still got channel mode, so even if you have a crappier, cheap walkie-talkie, I can still communicate with you on this by matching up the frequency. It has channel modes on here, so understand that. From there, I want to talk a little bit about this backpack that I'm wearing and what I carry inside of it. Now, anytime I'm going to go out somewhere I'm unfamiliar with, I'm going to be packing a couple of things. This right here is going to be a double use application. If you guys saw my bug out bag video, which I almost linked to every video because I reference it, this is going to be a multi-use item. I can use it as a stint, I can use it as a walking mechanism or an assistance for walking up steep hills if you're up in the mountains. It's just nice to have. Along with it, going through just a couple of pockets here and the stuff that I carry. In this top pocket, I'm always gonna have utensils. Just in case we're eating something, I bring my own stuff. I have some pills just for me. You know, if I'm out, I'm walking a long ways, headaches happen, right? You're dehydrated, you're walking a lot. It's not uncommon. Ibuprofen's a good one to just carry. Allergy meds, if it's that time of the season for you, carry your allergy meds. From here, I have a shelter, which is assembled. It's this big, it's the size of my hand, and it's not very tightly packed right now. It's put together using this single stake and this, and it is enough to fit 2 people. I have slept with 2 people in this tent. It is not comfortable. You can do it. So going from there, I have an extra notebook. This is usually a dope pad for if I'm out shooting. Extra things to take notes. So that's fine. We got a little other interruption here. All right, back you up real quick. Thank you, ma'am. All right, from there, we're gonna go to these last 2 pockets. If I'm in an unfamiliar place, and it is not something I am brandishing, I don't know why people think they need rifles and stuff in an emergency situation, I'm almost always carrying some sort of firearm. This particular one is a Canik TP9. It's nothing crazy. It's got 17 rounds in it. It's more of a wildlife consideration and honesty than it is anything else. So, going from there. Last couple of things that I have, always have a med kit, always have a tourniquet. In here, there's going to be burn wipes, there's going to be insect repellents, there's going to be insect wipes, there's going to be all sorts of different meds, whether that's going to be medicine, whether it's going to be for pain relief, anything like that. I have extra water in the backpack just in case I run out in the flick. I have fire starter just in case we need to start a fire for any reason, whether that be for signaling, heat, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. You can use a fire for a million things. I have an MRE in here. Typically, I'm carrying 3 of these. For the sake of this video, I packed in 1 of these. It doesn't matter what kind of MRE you have. I'm not saying the flavor, whether it's canned goods or not. Having an MRE is going to go a long way. Pedialyte for the hydration. It's usually if I'm hurt. It's better to be hydrated if I'm hurt. And then stuff to cook whatever I need to cook on. So a very standard kit. Nothing crazy. Most of the stuff that I would have in here is on my person right now. So understand you can pack this quite a few different ways. This is all the essential stuff you are really going to need to go out and assess damage, help provide assistance to the community, and genuinely be of help. The last thing I want to speak to on this is Wendigoon had a specific video on Helene. If you haven't seen it, check it out. He was there when that was happening. I wasn't doing this yet, so I don't have much for recordings. When he was out, he was talking about guys that would show up with a generator and fuel. Well, there were hundreds of people there with generators and fuel, but no tools. So rather than being stuck in a warehouse somewhere, organizing the same pallet of water over and over again as shipments come in, it just makes more sense. If you want to be out in the field and using your time and going out there and meeting people, you're going to need tools to do that. So having exactly this, having the proper vehicle, having the proper fuel for your journey, and having an actual plan and a group of people, or even just yourself, having a place you can go to where you can immediately assess damage, find an area, meet and link with a group, and still have all of the proper tools and be able to communicate effectively with them is going to set you apart. And it's going to allow you to be a more effective member. This also helps just in your readiness levels, right? Having all of these tools, if something were to happen here at the house, I can do it all here. But this is not an inbound video. We're talking about going out and helping. So that's really all I have for you guys. We're going to wrap this up here real quick. I will not forget to show that Ryobi battery. It is pretty impressive.
See if I can get it so you guys can see it. That's it. That's all the battery this is used. Cutting down all those little trees, all those larger trees, that log.
I appreciate you guys tuning in. Take care, you guys. The bugs are getting bad, so we'll wrap this up. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you guys could, I would greatly like a like or a subscribe. If you think I missed anything, or if you have anything to add, or anything that you can think of that I may have missed here, please leave a comment. It does help. So thank you guys very much. As always, have a great week, have a great day, have a great weekend. Appreciate you.